So one of the first things that I like to mention about aromatherapy that I think a lot of people kind of have a misconception about is that aromatherapy is the use of essential oils as well as anything that you might smell to help with magic, to help with therapy, to help with mental health, to help with skincare, to help with anything like that, whether you are using essential oils for skincare, which is still a part of aromatherapy, or you are just using orange peels and the scent and smell that orange peels give off to help with your mental health or with your magic or with divination purposes or with your spirituality or anything like that. So anytime you are using the sense of smell in your practice, in your everyday self-care, in your mental health, in any of those things, it is aromatherapy. Now, a lot of people seem to think, now I'm not saying this is wrong. I am saying there's not a lot of science to back this, what I'm about to say up. What a lot of people think it is that let's take lavender. It's one of the very common scents. You can get it at Bath and Body Works. You spray it on your pillow and it's supposed to help you sleep. Lavender is never going to do the same thing for everyone. The smell of lavender. Now, obviously you get into different chemistry when you talk about putting it on your skin topically, but we are talking about the smell when it comes to aromatherapy. The scent of lavender, the scent of oranges, the scent of lemon, the scent of sandalwood, the scent of patchouli are never going to do the same thing for every person. Let's say when you were growing up, your mom, this is a story from me, by the way, this is personal. Your mom always burned patchouli. Always. Just every single day. And I hate patchouli now. I hate it. I hate the smell of patchouli so much. I will never use it for a ritual. I will never use it for a spell. When other witches use it, like the spell turns me off a little bit. And I'm like, but there are plenty of spells that say that patchouli can help with X, Y, and Z. It is supposed to help with depression and nausea. It is supposed to help with like big odors. So like if your cats or dogs have peed on the carpet, using patchouli can kind of help to give a different smell while you're trying to clean up the mess to the house, so you're not smelling cat urine. Things like that. It can also help with a lot of other things according to witchcraft and magic. The reason science doesn't back that up very much is because smell is very based on memory, like I described. So you are going to associate tons of different memories, tons of different emotions, tons of different behaviors with sense of smell. So like for me, if I go to an extremely heated place, it always reminds me of being a kid in Massachusetts because I lived there for a couple years.
Hey, have we started?
Yes. Can you not hear me? Can everyone else hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Good. I was worried.
I was getting a little worried because Marsha looked so confused. And I wasn't sure what was going on.
Can you hear everybody else, Marsha?
Stop it.
Let me look. Are we typing in the chat? I can't see the chat. Where is chat? Oh my goodness. Oh, here it is. Nope. Okay. Marsha? Marsha? Can you hear me?
There we go.
Oh, good. Hi.
Hi.
I'm so sorry it wasn't working before.
No, it's okay. It's totally fine.
So basically what I was describing is that When you see aromatherapy used in witchcraft and used in magic, no matter what form or kind of magic it is, I am not saying that there's no validity to how they use it. There are plenty of cultures that have used it for thousands of years, but this is how scientifically it works and how a lot of ancient cultures actually use it. Western culture just got a little confused in translation. So, it is not the fact that taking something like lavender is and spraying it on your pillow and using the sense of smell. It is not that every single person is going to get sleepy when they smell lavender. It is the fact that you can use aromatherapy to classically condition your brain to get sleepy when you smell lavender. So it's more about conditioning and training your brain and your mind to react a certain way, to have a certain behavior, to enact a certain memory when you smell a certain scent. So, for example, let's say you went to an aromatherapist and you were really looking to try and help with depression, and you wanted to use a scent to help with depression. This is what you would do. You would pick a scent that you already kind of either have neutral feelings towards, like you really have no memories associated with it, or a scent that you already enjoy. And you would, every single time you're doing something fun, every single time you are doing something that you really, really enjoy, something that makes you feel excited or happy or calm or content. So, whether that for you is dancing and having fun with friends, or that's reading and being alone and watching your favorite TV show or eating your favorite food, whatever that is, anytime you were doing something that you super duper loved, you would spray that spray. You would, like, let's say it was citrus. You would take that essential oil and put it on your wrists and or spray it around your room or put it inside of your what are the diffuser and have it diffuse around the room. Anytime you were doing something that you really enjoyed, anytime you were super content and happy and calm and feeling euphoric, anytime you were feeling that, you would then take the citrus, put it on your body, or put it in the air and smell that citrus. Now you are training your brain, conditioning your brain is what it's called. You are conditioning your brain to feel happy when you smell citrus. So now, after you do that for a period of time, a couple months or so, after you do that, then when you're feeling sad, you can spray citrus and suddenly you release those neurotransmitters that remind you of all of those times that you smelled citrus when you were happy and when you were feeling amazing. So that is how it works. And that is how a lot of traditions have practiced it throughout time. Oh, yes, please share your example, Katrina.
Okay, so when I was in high school, my psychology class, we did this project, and this was like 10 plus years ago now, and I still freaking think about it because it worked. She had us bring in oranges, and so we had an orange, and then she made us the entire hour-long class. She picked a song and we listened to that song on repeat the entire class, smelling the orange, peeling the orange, eating a piece of the orange during an entire song, all of it. So now, whether I hear the song or have an orange, I think about that class at the very least, or the song or the orange pop in, and it's just there.
Yes. That was a good psych teacher. That
She's
is awesome.
amazing. Yeah, she left her mark, that's for sure.
Yes. So that is exactly how aromatherapy works. So, and that is how, like I said, many, many cultures for thousands of years across the globe have used sense of smell to interact with memory and behavior and emotion way before we knew, way before we were using words like classical conditioning and operant conditioning, way before we were discussing and talking about how, really it's because your hippocampus is attached to a lot of the nerves and to a lot of the sensory recognition inside of your sense of smell. And so we associate a lot of memories with smell, and we kind of forget that. We forget how we use our eyes a lot for memory. Obviously, our eyes are one of the senses that if you are not blind or, impaired in a way when it comes to vision, usually vision is the very first thing you think of. You even use vision to imagine the memory in your mind. You enter a certain place and you see something, and you remember a time in your life before when you saw the same thing or interacted with the same thing. And we think about vision and memory a lot because then you create a picture in your mind of what it was like when you were 8 years old and you're remembering a time that you had. And we associate a lot of it with vision. But sense of smell actually has a stronger connection to memory than vision. Sense of smell is huge when it comes to especially long-term memory. And when we smell something and we don't even realize it, like if I took my clients once, I don't know why. It's probably one of the only places open. But anyway, we walked inside of a Chuck E. Cheese, and like immediately I remembered that like smell of stale pizza and like the disco, like all of the smells that happen when you enter Chuck E. Cheese. And like it brought me back to playing there as a kid and loving it so much, and now seeing it as an adult, and those memories conflict because now it just looks like an unsanitary germ pit of grossness. And so anyway, when we walk into places and we smell certain smells, it brings us back through so many different memories that we don't even realize that it's happening because we rely so much on the vision and imagining it and creating a vision in our mind that we forget that the smell has so much impact on us. Like Katrina's example of the orange, and like my example of my mom and patchouli. Same thing with pheromones. When you are super, super, super attracted to someone, you probably enjoy the way they smell. And I don't mean their cologne. I mean the way they smell when they have no deodorant on. You probably, on a certain level, don't hate their natural body odor, which are their pheromones. And usually when we are extremely attracted to somebody, even when it comes to friendship, usually you end up knowing the way that they smell, whether it's a certain perfume they always use, whether it's their natural pheromones, whether it's the fact that they smoke and you can always smell the cigarettes, whether it is that, I guess nowadays you could be like, they vape and they always smell like weird strawberry sour candy. And because I vape, and I've had so many people tell me that now I smell like strawberries all the time, which is way better than like 5 or 6 years ago when I used to smoke a shitload and I would smell like cigarettes. And so I much prefer to smell like strawberries. Um, but yeah, so the way to successfully use aromatherapy is by classical conditioning, association of a smell to a feeling. So, like the example that I used, if you enjoy citrus, you have no real strong, passionate, negative feelings about it. You don't associate it with any memories that are negative. I dare you to try this. Every time you're happy, if you're reading a book that you love, you're watching a TV show you love, you are doing something that you really enjoy, take a little bottle of citrus essential oil and put it on your wrists and smell that smell, and do that every single time you are doing something that makes you feel content and happy. Then try it 4 months later when you're sad. When you are sad, put on the citrus oil, and suddenly you will realize it is basic psychology. I promise you it works. And it's also basic aromatherapy that then you put on the citrus smell when you're sad and you will feel better. And that is the basics of aromatherapy. Same thing with sleep. Right before you fall asleep, when you are exhausted and you are so tired that you know that the second your head hits the pillow, you are just going to pass out, put on some eucalyptus, put on some lavender, put on one smell, pick one for sleepy, pick one. And do that for 4 months. Every time you are super exhausted and you are going to crash, put some smell, the same smell every time on your pillow or on your body or in your hair. And then 5 months later, when you're going through a moment of insomnia and you're really unable to sleep and it's making you really mad and you really want to go to sleep, take that essential oil and put it on you, and suddenly you will be exhausted. It's so cool. And so that is the basics of aromatherapy. That is the basics of spell work with aromatherapy, of magic, and of modern medicine when it comes to using sense of smell for psychology and therapy techniques. Aromatherapy is actually used a lot in modern medicine. It is used in therapy and psychology. I use it with my kids. The kids I work with, I don't have children. Like the children that I work with, I use it with them and they love it. They think it's super fun. If you have kids also, oh my God, if you have kids, be careful. If they're too young, don't put the essential oil directly on their skin. We don't want to cause them to break out or anything, but dilute it a whole bunch and take it and use it as a spray in the room, or you get a diffuser and do that. Pick one and notice when they're super happy, when your kid is just like laughing and giggling a ton and they're having a good old time. Put that smell, like take lavender and put it in the diffuser. Every single time your kid is just elated and super excited and happy, put lavender in the diffuser. Then when they're crying and they're angry and they won't stop screaming and crying and you feel so bad and you don't know what to do, then you can take lavender and put it in the diffuser and suddenly they're happy. They don't know why. It's magic. Not really, it's psychology and neuroscience, but it is so cool. And suddenly your kid will be happy again. It's awesome. So that is, the basics of aromatherapy. Does anybody have any questions about the classical conditioning aspects of aromatherapy?
Sorry, yes, I do. Gosh, I couldn't get it unmuted fast enough.
Oh, that's okay. No problem.
I ended up taking that call from my coworker, so I just had one quick question because I think I missed this part. How long did you had to like use the smell in order for it to condition your brain? Was it the 5 months? Did I hear?
Yes, so about 4 to 5 months is the average.
Because that's fucking fascinating. I did not know that. That's cool as hell.
I know! It is so cool. And you can use it with anything. You will notice that this is something that we share with a lot of animals. Like if your cat is a super asshole, you can use it with cats too. Notice when they're being snuggly and purry and super happy. And then now, cats are never supposed to directly inhale any essential oils. So put it in a diffuser where the room will smell like lavender, but it'll be far enough away from the cat that none of it will get on its skin. Use that scent of smell every single time you notice that your cat is being super purry and happy. And then 5 months later, when your cat is being an asshole and knocking everything off the shelf, I have cats. Then you can put lavender in the diffuser and suddenly your cat is purring and happy and not being an asshole. It's pretty cool. It's a way to condition your brain and others people's brains.
Yes.
It's also also a really easy way to perform magic as well. It's a good way to show off to your friends. It is, if they need help with depression, every single time they come over to your house and you guys are having a good time and you can tell that they are really happy, spray some citrus in the air. Do it every time they come over. Every time they're super happy and they're having a good time with you and you guys are doing fun stuff and you go, you got to the bar, you go out somewhere, take a little bit and put it all over you so that they smell that smell, then suddenly when they're having a really bad day and they're depressed, just randomly suggest that they throw some citrus in the air and suddenly they're going to be happy and they're not going to know why, and it's really cool and it's magic.
Could save some marriages and shit.
Right? It's so true. And yeah, same thing with your kids. You can even like your like the family members and stuff that come over. You can do the same thing with your family, with friends, with your animals, with kids, with yourself. It's a really good first step in practicing magic and ritual is to use the sense of smell and conditioning. Pretty awesome, and it's neurologically and psychologically, it's been backed by science. Not that I think everything has to be. I'm a witch, and not everything I do obviously has been backed by science, but this is one of those things that is, and it is so much fun to use and to show off because it works. And we've been able to reproduce this experiment millions and millions of times. As Katrina said in her psychology class, they did this, and it's great. It totally, you start to associate things. Using sound was really smart of your psychology teacher too. That's another thing with like sound magic. It's the sound bowl, and I'm just going to say this isn't necessarily part of this class, but the same thing goes for a sound bowl. The singing bowls that people use, it's not that a singing bowl is supposed to help you calm down and meditate. For a lot of people, it doesn't. For a lot of people, that sound is not necessarily calming. Everybody's brains work differently. We all associate sound with something different. The point is to condition your brain. So you take the sound of a singing bowl that you do have no real feeling about. You don't hate it. And every single time you are super relaxed and your meditation is going really well and you feel really proud of the fact that you're actually able to calm down and go into a meditative state, use the singing bowl. Then after about 4 or 5 months, when you're struggling to get into a meditative state and you just can't seem to calm down, then you use the same singing bowl and suddenly you're able to calm down. And it's because of brain association and the hippocampus and associating it with the sounds that you're hearing. So, yes, this works for any of your 5 senses. It's much harder with vision. We take in too much when it comes to vision. You are taking in so much light all around you and so many colors and shapes and all of the things that it is very difficult to use vision. But vision can be used as well. It's just much, much harder. I would suggest smell and taste and sound. Taste as well. I do this with my clients all the time at work, the kids that I work with. A lot of people think that it's only sweet things that can make your kids, feel that sense of excitement and happy and celebration. The only reason that is because we as humans have associated cake with happy. We have associated icing and cupcakes and cake with birthday and Christmas and Thanksgiving and gifts and happy and excitement and class parties and pizza parties and all of that. We have done that. That is a conditioning thing that we did. It's not just that icing instantly makes children happy. It's a conditioning technique that we didn't even know we were doing to our kids. So take something different. Use a cucumber. And every single time they eat a cucumber, have the biggest dance party ever, where you guys have tons of fun and excitement and there are balloons and it's fun. Suddenly they will start to associate cucumber with happy and party and fun and dancing and mommy and daddy being super lovey and excited and gifts and presents. And suddenly they will grow to love cucumber just as much as they love cupcakes. It's cool. Conditioning. Yes. So, yeah. Okay.
Alex, my daughter, I want a cupcake. This is when I wish I had a cucumber in my fridge.
Right? I know. That was an example. I used cucumber with the kids and it worked. It
Oh,
worked so well. And I was like, oh my God, this is how you do it. This is how you get kids to eat vegetables. I mean, yeah, you might have to have like 19 dance parties a month, but hey, that's okay.
yeah.
So, what is aromatherapy? We kind of already obviously went over that, but this is from one of my favorite books or my favorite authors. Her name is Teresa Mori. And she, when it comes to the basics of witchcraft, the basics of magic, the basics of, especially when it comes to European, Celtic, Irish, well, Celtic and Irish, I guess, are the same thing, but it's like Celtic or Druid practices or Norse practices and things like that. She is absolutely amazing. She was born into a Druid practice in Ireland, and she is just phenomenal when it comes to being able to explain very European forms of magic. And I love her. So this is just a picture from her book, and it is aromatherapy is the use of therapeutic oils extracted from natural plant matter in order to encourage good health, equilibrium, and well-being. The essential oils that are used in aromatherapy are truly holistic in that they have a powerful and positive effect on mind, body, and spirit. To use the essential oils well, it is necessary to take time to understand a little of the essence of the person you are choosing them for, whether you are using the oils for yourself or another. And that is, such great advice. As I said, it is about conditioning the mind, not about the fact that lavender makes everybody sleepy. So, also, one thing that she mentioned in there that I really like to bring up, especially in classes where we are directly talking about herbs or essential oils or things that are distilled to, like herbs that are being distilled to create essential oils, is first, I want to see if anybody else can answer this. What is the difference between holistic and homeopathic?
I want to say one's made natural, but that I don't know.
That's okay. I'm just going to wait for just a second, see if anybody. Oh, sorry. It was a.
Give us time to Google it quick.
Right. I have to answer a text from work. All the stuff. Okay, cool. Anyway, so holistic is what you should use. Holistic is a good word. Holistic basically just means that it's derived from solely and only herbs, vegetables, fruits, something that grew from the ground, and that it was not there was no additives put in that are not from the ground, and there was no necessarily like tampering with it. Like there's no human made chemicals. There is no lab made chemicals that are going to be inside of your holistic medicine. Holistic medicine is going to be something like using rosemary extract, using essential oils, and you have to kind of be careful with that. Holistic essential oils, as we kind of learned in the video, are going to be very specific. They are going to only have chemical compounds that are basically just distilled herbs, distilled like infusions of herbs. So taking lavender, putting it into water, and then distilling the water, or any herb that goes through distillation process. Basically, you're not adding dyes to it that are, obviously you can like take rose and it'll make your thing red. So that's still holistic. But if it's like red dye number 5 that was created in a lab, that's not going to be holistic anymore. So it is anything that is made solely with things that you could just pick from the ground. That is holistic medicine. Now, homeopathic medicine. Homeopathic medicine is this idea, and you can look this up. It is crazy. I was so mad when I learned about this. So, homeopathic medicine means the belief in water memory. It's a very interesting belief. Now, water memory is a thing. There's a completely different rant I could go on where water memory is a thing. It's a thing, and it's been spiritually proven all over the world about how water can hold memory. Like, I don't know if you guys have heard the story of the monks in the Tibetan monks who took one bottle of water and screamed at it for 100 days and said horrible, terrible things. They took another bottle of water and they did nothing but play amazing, beautiful music and tell it how much they love it. And then they froze the water. One crystallized in a way that looked like really sinister and crazy. And of course, it was the one that they had screamed at the whole time. And the other one just looked like a very normal frozen water where it created really pretty little snowflake crystals all over the frozen water. And this experiment has been tried over and over again through different spiritual communities as well as like holistic communities. And it is true that we are finding that water does have some sort of memory. Now, homeopathic took this to a whole new level. What homeopathic is, they took a jar, they put lavender in it, then they put water in it, and then they shook it. Then they dumped it all out. Then they took water and poured it back into that jar with no more lavender and shook it and dumped it out. They did that about 70 to 80 more times, then sold it for $90. That is what homeopathic is. The idea that the jar still has the memory of the lavender being in it. Therefore, you will get the medicinal qualities of the lavender. It's used a lot for allergies because you can use a jar that's been rinsed 90 times, even if you're allergic to lavender. So it's used for like allergy purposes. So like if you are allergic to beeswax, but you get homeopathic beeswax, then it means that the beeswax was rinsed out 400 times. So the memory of the beeswax is still in the water, but you're not going to have allergic effects from it because it's just the memory of the beeswax, not the actual beeswax. My issue is they sell this for tons of money, pretending that it's beeswax, pretending it's lavender, pretending it's citrus, pretending it's all rosemary. When in reality, we all know that if you take a jar and you put rosemary in it and you rinse it out 90 times, you no longer have rosemary. I'm just saying. So, homeopathic medicine, sometimes you have to look out for that because it is overly priced water. That is what it is. Or tablets that are overly priced sugar water that say they have this herb in it, that say they have the memory of this herb in it. But like, that's how we wash dishes, right? Is by like washing the container out 90 times. So if there's no
like, that really is a steak. It was a steak once, and it's a steak again, even though it was last week that we cooked it.
Exactly. It makes no sense. It it just doesn't to me. I never understood how this tablet that they made from water inside of this jar that was rinsed out 400 times, that once upon a time had rosemary in it, still has the medicinal qualities of rosemary. Also, why not just eat rosemary? If you're allergic to it, just don't eat it and eat something else. I don't know. So that is what, if you go to the store and you buy homeopathic essential oils, know that you are just buying a filler oil. You're just buying almond oil or coconut oil and spending hundreds of dollars on just coconut oil, or worse, water. It's been worse. But that's what you are buying. If you see the label homeopathic, that means it has the memory of the herb in it. That's what it is. So buy holistic, not homeopathic, unless, which is fine, if you have done your research and you really and truly believe that these, homeopathic remedies still have the memory of this herb in them, that is fine. It's totally fine. I'm not, trying to super bash. My problem is that I don't want you to waste your $400 on water. That's all. If you want to do it at home and you want to take rosemary and do it the homeopathic way, that's great. But I would suggest not going to the store and buying it, because you are seriously buying, like overpriced water or overpriced coconut oil. And homeopathic essential oils don't actually have any lavender in them. They have the memory of lavender in them. It's kind of like hoping for orange juice and getting LaCroix. So that is, they have the memory of orange it once was. So yes. So by the way, this is the information that is on the website already for aromatherapy. I am adding more. I wanted a few more people to have taken this class, but I already have a slideshow created for round 2, basically, of all the new information I'm going to put on the aromatherapy section. I love aromatherapy, so I'm really excited to get the next slideshow up, and so everybody can study all the new stuff. But anyway, so there are many ways to use aromatherapy. The smells, tastes, and medicinal properties of plants create powerful remedies and potions. Essential oils themselves are very therapeutic. They can help with sleep, sore muscles, mood, anxiety, depression, dry skin, acne, hair growth, scrapes and cuts, upset stomach, chapped lips, and much more. They also have magical uses throughout many cultures around the world. So, we already talked about the classical conditioning aspect of sense of smell surrounding essential oils and just herbs in general. So then you also talk about essential oils can also be used for things, like I said, like hair growth, scrapes and cuts. It's not necessarily essential oils, but it is using a smell or using the, oh my God, I just said the word distilled, using the distilled water that you created with the herb. So let's say you take something like yarrow, and yarrow is supposed to be, for those of you who don't know, yarrow, you can pick it in the wild, and if you got a really bad cut, or even a little cut, but if you got a cut outside, you can put yarrow on it and it'll stop bleeding. It is a blood coagulator. It'll coagulate your blood. It'll make it so that you scab extremely quickly and you will stop bleeding. And it gives you time to either seek medical care or just go home and bandage up your wound. It also stops infection as well, not only because it is going to coagulate so quickly and create a barrier there so that not as much bacteria can get in, but it also is an antiseptic in its own. It is just on its own, it's an antiseptic herb. So if you were to take yarrow and you wanted to store it for a long time, yes, one of the things you could do is to dry it. But another thing you could do, if you would like to, is to take it and put it in a small amount of water and distill it. And after the distillation process, you have to, if you're doing it on your own, you have to distill it a few times, but then you will get the medicinal properties from yarrow. And you can use it as, you know how you can take like Neosporin and it comes in a spray? You can also have a yarrow spray. And using a lot of it and kind of pouring it into a wound will help to coagulate the blood so that now you have your own little herbal first aid kit. And you can use yarrow to to help with cuts and scrapes, and distilling it is one of the ways you can use it as a spray. Drying it is going to work fine, but when you dry it, you definitely you lose a little bit of the medicinal aspects, which isn't a big deal. I would just say use more. So if you have fresh yarrow, you could probably just kind of swish it in between your fingers quite a bit, even chew it a little bit if you want to, but you don't want the bacteria necessarily from your mouth to get into your cut. So yeah, but you can squish it up in your fingers, get it all in there, make sure your hands are clean, and put it inside of your wound. Obviously, if this is an emergency situation, you don't have anything to clean your hands, it's fine. Still use the yarrow. It's an antiseptic anyway. It's better than using nothing, even if you're getting the bacteria from your hands on it. But a great way so that you don't have to squish it in between the bacteria of your fingers, you don't have to get it wet with your saliva that also has bacteria in it, is to distill it, create a spray. So that's another way that we can use aromatherapy and a form of essential oil. Obviously, it's not an oil, it's a form of water, it's a form of distilled water, but it still counts and is still considered in the aromatherapy community. It is still considered a form of aromatherapy to distill herbs in water and use that for their medicinal qualities or for their aromatherapy qualities, meaning like for their smell. So if you were to really, really love the smell of a flower that you found outside, make sure it's not poisonous, then you can distill it and make it into a perfume. And now you have a beautiful perfume from your favorite flower that you found outside. So, we are going, where is, there we go. So, this is the super intense video. I would suggest that you do read that one. I mean, that you do read it, that you do watch that video. We are not probably, what time is it? Yeah, we're probably not going to watch it today, but it is a very, very good one. Just pause the video a lot and look things up. So, essential oils are basically plant extracts. So as we were talking about before, there are many ways to get the extract from the herb and the plant itself. They're made by steaming or pressing various parts of the plant, flowers, bark, leaves, or fruit, to capture the compounds that produce fragrance. It can take several pounds of a plant to produce a single bottle of essential oils. That is one of the reasons too, you have to be very, very careful about where you get your essential oils. Something that I try and get students to do is attempt at making your own. But until you can do that, just make sure you're sourcing it from a place where you know where it's coming from. Because like it said, it can take several pounds of the herb to create one little bottle of essential oil. That means that if they are taking it from indigenous land, if they are taking it from the rainforest, they're taking it from places where we cannot afford to be taking thousands and thousands and thousands of plants and pounds of plants a day from these places. Also, you want to make sure that it's ethical, like who was doing this, what company paid for all of these plants to be produced and then harvested. Because especially when you get into use in other countries, sometimes it is not an ethical practice, and you want to make sure that it is. You also want to make sure too that, like, you know, if you get it from Amazon, check who the seller is. You don't want necessarily, Amazon is a hit or miss. Check the seller. One of the things that I've suggested before is going to Etsy. Etsy is a fantastic place. It's online, a fantastic place, but it's a fantastic like app and website And you can go to Etsy, and there are people who make and hand make their own essential oils. Yes, you are going to be spending more money. But as we talked about before, to condition your brain, you do not need the set of 25 essential oils. You need one or two to start with. And then you can get one or two more. And this way, number one, you are supporting an artist, you are supporting a person, you are supporting somebody who hand makes these and hand grows the herbs themselves, and you are also using the product in a sustainable way and buying from sustainable, ethical sources. Anyway, in addition to creating scent, essential oils perform other functions in plants too. Essential oils are extracted from plants and capture the plant's scent and flavor, its essence. These oils hold vibrational energy and quickly help us adjust and balance our energy. So this is the other part of essential oils that we are going to talk about. So we discussed the sciencey part, the part where you are literally conditioning your brain to smell a smell to make you happy, because you conditioned your mind to be happy when you smell the smell. Now we're going to talk about the more spiritual side of it. So when a lot of people discuss in the spiritual community, especially the witchcraft community, a lot of people discuss this idea of vibrations. Does anybody know what they are talking about when they talk about our vibrations?
I do. It's just every living thing vibrates at a certain frequency. Is that what you were?
Yeah, no, that's perfect. So
Okay.
why then would humans vibrate at a different frequency than another human?
Doesn't it have to do with how quickly it's moving? Like yeah. I'm not
Totally.
very scientific.
No, that is completely fine. And
Okay.
this, we are leaving science now. So we are getting into spiritual concepts. Now, if you were to ask a biologist, if you were to ask a chemist, somebody who works and has like a PhD in chemistry or biology, obviously we are all made up of the same chemical compounds. We are all made up of the same protons, neutrons, and electrons. Therefore, all human beings scientifically should vibrate at the same frequency, because what is vibrating are atoms and our atomic particles. And technically our atomic particles are all the same, with slight variations, but typically on an atomic level, every human is pretty much the same. Now, when you get to a spiritual level, that is not the case, because your aura also emits vibrations. It also is made up of particles. It is also made up of waves. It is also made up of atomic structure. Therefore, everybody's aura is completely 100% different. It contains a different energy and contains a different atomic structure. So when they talk about human vibrations, when we are talking about biology, we are talking about the atomic structure in which our muscles and bones vibrate due to the fact that neurons, electrons, or protons, neutrons, and electrons are always moving and vibrating. And atoms are always vibrating, molecules are always moving and vibrating. The water within us is a molecule and is always moving. The gases we produce are always moving. Those are going to be relatively the same. But when we talk about it on a spiritual level, we are talking about your aura, and the fact that your aura and the energy within your aura all vibrate at a different frequency, because every single person's aura is made up of a different form of energy. It is all made up of a different atomic particle. It is all made up of a different photon. If you understand the way that light works, light is a photon. It is it's not a particle or a wave. Sometimes it's a particle, sometimes it's a wave, depending on if you observe it. Very interesting. Yes, which is super cool all on its own. I have a class on it. But your aura is made up of light and energy, and also spiritual energy, the energy that you create spiritually, the unexplainable patterns of vibration that exist on the outward side of your body. And this is what we call aura. And when people talk about spiritual vibrations, how we are vibrating on different frequencies, when people talk about how you need to vibrate high, and everybody's always talking about that, about how you need to have high vibrations to be healthy, how you need to have high vibrations to be able to be intelligent. What they are talking about is the vibration of your aura. And that your aura, the energy that surrounds your body, the energy that your body emits, the light that you emit, the colors that come off of your aura should be vibrating at a higher frequency, because higher frequency when it comes to energy is going to create, what do we know about molecules? When molecules move very, very quickly, it is a gas. When they move very, very, very slowly, it becomes a solid. And we want to come as close as we can to our aura and our energy being gas, in a sense. It's a way to describe it, because you want to be an extremely fluid, open-minded person who doesn't necessarily require, it's like astral projection, where your body becomes different from your spiritual body, and where you can travel anywhere you want. There's a whole bunch of freedom involved with astral projection. And the idea is that if your aura is vibrating extremely quickly, that means that it is no longer a solid, meaning it is much easier for you to have an out-of-body experience, to move beyond the veil, to move beyond different dimensions, to move beyond different realms, to interact with magical creatures, to interact with the fae, to interact with the dragons, to basically pull yourself from this world of material things that we know of, the world we can see, and be able to transport your body into a different dimension or into a different realm. And so that's what they're talking about. That's why they want your vibration to be so high, is so that you are a gaseous person and you can go to different dimensions much more freely and easily. I find this idea very fascinating. I am not necessarily going to say whether or not that is something that I believe in, but I do find it to be very fascinating, and I do find it to have a lot of validity to it. And I know a lot of high priestesses who wholeheartedly believe that. I teach astral projection classes in which we work on training your aura, and working on training your aura does have a lot to do with making sure that it is vibrating at a higher frequency, that it has been practiced throughout the world in chakra alignment when we talk about East Asia, and we talk about India and the Middle East, and even through parts of Egypt. This alignment of the chakra tends to happen. Things align easier when you are not so solid. To not be so solid in your aura, you need to vibrate on a higher frequency, because if you vibrate on a higher frequency, those molecules are going to turn into gas, making it much easier for your aura to align and pass through each other. If you think about your aura, or if you think about your chakras as little pools that exist in your body, and you think about when your chakras are not aligned and your chakras are not cleansed, think about algae getting stuck inside those pools. The best way to get algae to clear those pools so that all the water flows through each chakra of your body freely is to destroy the solidity of that algae, turn that algae into gas. And that would be by vibrating at a higher frequency. That algae would turn into gas, and now the water streaming through your chakras can stream freely. Through each one of your chakras, the energy can pass freely through your body, from your aura into your chakras, and all of your body becomes much more aligned when you are vibrating at a higher frequency, and therefore things are not so solid. Does anybody have any questions? I know that's a lot.
I don't have any questions at the moment, but I'm fascinated.
Awesome.
Silence, sorry.
No, thank you. I'm so glad that you are. Good. So, where was I? These oils hold vibrational energy and quickly help us to adjust and balance our energy, and with their permission, the energy of others. That should say others, not other. Anyway, essential oils may be inhaled, diffused, applied topically, or taken internally if food grade. So, God, this was such a problem. I swear, misinformation sometimes bugs me so much, especially during the coronavirus, and everybody was ingesting their essential oils. Do not do this. Do not take your essential oils off your shelf for your diffuser and drink them. It will not cure COVID, nor will it cure anything. It'll make you very sick. It'll be very bad. Do not do this. Do not feed it to your cats. Do not feed it to your dogs. Do not ingest it at all, ever. Now, you can buy essential oils that are food grade essential oils that are specifically meant to be eaten. But then those would not be the same essential oils that you would diffuse in a diffuser. So make sure it'll say on the back, it'll be very clear. It'll say, do not ingest. Don't ingest those ones. The ones that are food grade are the ones that you should ingest, but most of them that you're going to buy at the shelf, on the shelves at any store, are not food grade. They are not meant to be eaten. They are also not meant to be taken out of the bottle and put onto your skin. If you would like to do that, I do that. I use all kinds of different essential oils on my skin. I love it. I think that it's a big part of my skincare routine. But take 3 drops and put them into your big giant tub of coconut oil when you are using that as moisturizer. Do not take the lavender and pour it onto your hand and rub it on your face. You will wake up with big swollen splotchy spots all over your face, and you don't want that. That's the exact opposite of probably what you were going for. So yes, if you are going to use essential oils for your skin, dilute it. Now, it can be diluted in pretty much anything. It's not going to cause a chemical reaction 99.9% of the time, unless there's something crazy inside of your lotions. So they can be used in any skincare product that you would already have. Let's say that you have a cleanser that you really, really super duper love. Take 1 drop to the entire bottle. So if you want to take the entire bottle, squeeze it out into a nice little container, put 1 drop of essential oil in there, stir it all up, and now you have added the herbal quality and the herbal medicine of essential oils into your skincare. But you never want to just take it and put it on you. Now, your wrists, and why people do that is because, number one, it's not your hands, so you're not going to be like touching your face with it, but your wrist tends to not only be a place that has a lot of the oil from your hands. So if you put it on your wrists directly and you take essential oils and you directly put them on your wrists, usually it's going to come off fairly quickly because of the oils inside of your hands and your wrists. They usually allow things to sweat out of your body or to kind of just like rub off of your body very quickly. Also, it's a less sensitive area. So if you would like to take essential oils, some people will take it and they'll put it behind their neck right here, or they'll put it on their wrists. That's okay. Just be careful. I would do a test run. Take the essential oil, put it on your wrist, wait 2 hours. If you have no swollen blotchiness all over your wrist, then go ahead and do it to both and rub them together, and that's fine. But your skin on your face is very sensitive. And so You don't necessarily want to do just directly on your face. Like I said, add a couple drops to your skincare. So a carrier oil. A carrier oil is made from plants. Carrier oils are used to dilute essential oils, like I just said, and carry them to your skin. That's because some essential oils are potent and can cause irritation when applied directly to your skin, just like I said. So carrier oil is going to be something like coconut oil, something like almond oil, something like olive oil, any plant-based oil, really. There's tons, especially if you go to metaphysical bookstores, there's like an entire shelf of all the different types of plant oils. You can do rosemary oil, you can do, now, an essential oil and a carrier oil are completely different. An essential oil is an oil that has also been distilled. This distilled oil, it is a very potent extract. It is a very potent extract of oil. Whereas something like rosemary oil that you would just buy as rosemary oil, not the essential oil rosemary, like rosemary essential oil, but just rosemary oil, it's going to be fine to cook with. It's going to be fine to cook with. It's going to be fine to put on your skin, put it all over your body. Don't be allergic to rosemary and do that. But you know, if you're not allergic to rosemary, you could spread that shit everywhere. You're fine. And you can cook with it, clean with it. It helps get bugs away as well, so I hear. So do oranges. But anyway, so if you buy a carrier oil and you want to add an essential oil to it, make sure they don't conflict in smell. If you are looking for something that is going to carry your essential oil and the smell of your essential oil, use something like coconut oil, olive oil, because those are not going to have any smell to them. Coconut oil has like a very light smell, but not really. But if you use something like rose oil, you use something like rosemary oil, thyme oil, things like that, they're going to have smells to them. So if you do use one of those, you're going to want to make sure that you add a smell that mixes well with rose. Like, don't use patchouli or sandalwood. I imagine that would smell really bad with rose. But yeah, so that's the difference between a carrier oil and an essential oil. Most carrier oils are unscented or lightly scented, just like I just said, and don't interfere with essential oils' therapeutic properties. They nourish your skin while retaining the aroma and vibration of your chosen oil. So that's another thing when they talk about vibration. So one way to raise the vibrations of your aura, we are talking about spiritually, to raise your spiritual vibrations of your aura, is to add the vibration of plants. So it is said that plants have a very high frequency of aura. We know biologically that they are a solid, and so they therefore are just going to have the very typical atomic vibrations as any other solid would. Or, you know, obviously they have like water running through them, so it's going to create a different vibration. But anyway, you're talking about their spiritual vibration. Plants are supposed to get energy from the sun. The sun is supposed to, obviously, it is a gigantic gaseous thing in the sky. It's incredible. So plants eat the sun, therefore they are consuming this energy that is super, super vibrationally fast because it is such a gigantic gaseous thing. I don't know, planetary orb. I don't know. It's a gigantic thing in the sky that's made of gas. So if you take a gigantic thing in the sky that is made of gas and a plant is eating that, it is going to consume the vibration of the strongest gaseous force that we know of, or at least that we can touch and feel the vibrations and the energy of. Also, the sun is very spiritual throughout many different cultures. The sun has been worshipped as a god. So you are literally taking godly energy from this plant, adding it to your vibrations of your aura. So that is why it speeds up the vibration of your aura, is because of the sun, as well as because of the significance and medicinal qualities of the plant, but it's mostly because of the sun and the fact that we worship this big, beautiful, gaseous giant that is obviously, if our goal is to get our auras to be a gaseous giant, then taking energy from the most well-known gaseous giant via plants or via laying out in the sun. But not everybody can do that. So if you take a plant, you are directly getting the vibrations from the sun that it is consumed and adding it to the vibration of your aura. Yes, popular carrier oils include fractionated coconut oil, olive oil. I think it's jojoba oil, but it could be jojoba oil. Sorry,
It's jojoba.
jojoba
Yeah.
oil. Thank you.
Yeah.
So
Jojoba.
jojoba oil, almond, and avocado. So those are the most well-known and most well-used carrier oils.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Of course.
You said fractionated coconut oil.
Yes.
Why fractionated instead of like virgin or unrefined? I don't know what all of that means.
Oh, that's cool. So usually the only reason is it's unscented. That's it.
Oh.
Fractionated coconut oil is going to have absolutely no smell. There's also some health benefits to it. It's going to be much easier on your skin. So if you put it on your skin, usually people have absolutely zero reaction to it because of its unscented qualities. But that is actually the only thing that I know, and the only reason why you would use fractionated is due to its unscented qualities.
Okay. And I think grapeseed oil is another good carrier oil. I think, yeah.
Any carrier oil that is going to strictly only come from plants. The issue with grapeseed oil, you need to make sure you look at the ingredients, because funny enough, grapeseed oil tends to have other oils mixed in. And so you want to kind of stay away from oils that are going to be like, you don't want to use vegetable oil because it's going to have a whole bunch of different kinds of oils, and you don't want to use
like a single source oil is what you're aiming for.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep. So.
Ow, don't turn it up.
We already went over that. So yeah, another way in which you can use essential oils, especially aromatherapy, is in massage work. So using essential oils, especially for the conditioning aspect that we were talking about. If you super, super love massages, and massages are your happy place, even by like your loved one, even if you just love getting a massage by your boyfriend, your husband, your wife, your whoever, then you can have them every single time they give you a massage use the exact same type of essential oil. Now, obviously, since we are putting it directly on the skin, you would take like 2 drops of citrus oil, add it to a big tub of coconut oil, and then use that to massage your back, or to avocado oil, or whatever. And then after you do that for a few months, suddenly, whenever you smell citrus oil, you will be in a very similar state of mind as you were when getting a massage. And the same neurotransmitters will start to release in your brain as they were when you were getting a massage. So it's a great way to help yourself feel relaxed is by using massage work. Tight muscles as well can, as they mention, a drop or two of wintergreen or peppermint oil can help to relax the muscles. Same with eucalyptus oil. It can help to relax the muscles. So if you massage, put 2 drops of eucalyptus oil inside of some coconut oil and use it on your muscles, it'll feel very much like Vicks, or a lot of those muscle rubs that you get that have a very Vicks smell to them, like the vapor rub. That's what it's going to feel like. And this is a great way to use essential oils. I use eucalyptus anytime I have a stuffy nose. I take eucalyptus plants and hang them in my shower when I have a cold, and it just helps clear everything out. And then you're not using tons and tons of Vicks. Not that Vicks is bad. I think Vicks has eucalyptus oil in it. It's just not super fun all the time to always have all of that goo on your chest. So sometimes it's nicer to just use it in your lotion or something with eucalyptus oil, because then Vicks can be annoying for me, at least. It's like a very oily, dense product. So what are essential oils good for? So now that we have gone through all of this, we pretty much went over all this: anxiety, depression, nausea, insomnia, low appetite, dry mouth, things like that. By the way, I got what are essential oils used for, as well as, let me see, as well as this bottom part. Anyway, I got a lot of this information from Johns Hopkins Medical Center, which is pretty cool, because a lot of times medical centers, especially big, gigantic corporations, don't tend to support this kind of information. But aromatherapy used in the way that I was describing with classical conditioning is something that is accepted in all hospitals, in all medical centers. So it is really nice, because you can talk to your doctor about the stuff that you've been using and they're not going to laugh at you. Even though people tend to use essential oils wrong, which is why they get laughed at. But if you don't discuss with your doctor about how you've been classically conditioning your brain to help with your mental health and psychology using sense of smell, dude, it's awesome. And they're going to have a discussion with you about it and talk to you about what might help and act like it's a very real form of medicine, rather than a lot of the crap that Western doctors will give people who try to use holistic medicine. So what I'm going to have us do now is we're going to do an activity. So now that I've described to you the millions of different ways that you can condition your mind using aromatherapy, I want you to write down 2 things. I'm going to put this in the chat so that everybody remembers the 2 things. Oops. Okay. There we go. Okay. So the first thing that you are going to write down, or just think about it in your head, but I think writing it down helps me, because we're going to present these to each other and to the class. So the first thing is going to be a time in your life, just like kind of like Katrina described, a time in your life where you smelt something, and now forever, every time you smell that thing, it does something to you. It makes you angry, it makes you cry, it makes you feel excited. It reminds you of this one memory that you can't get out of your head. But I want you to describe a smell that does that to you. Any smell. So I'm going to put that into the chat. Describe smell that you associate with a strong memory or behavior or sensation. Like, every single time I smell rose, it makes me horny. That works too. And then tell us why. Okay, describe a smell that you associate with a strong memory or behavior or sensation. Okay, the next thing is I want you to tell me how you were inspired by this class, what essential oil you think you're going to use to condition your brain, and why and how. So what essential oil are you going to use to condition your brain, and why? Okay. Does anybody have any questions? Does that make sense? It's in the chat, just in case you forget what the questions are.
How do you want us to go now? Because I can go now.
Yeah. Whenever you're ready. Yes, totally. Please.
They're actually really easy. So, the first one, as far as a smell, it's just really funny that you said that because I mean earlier, so eucalyptus. So my mom would, and kind of like you talked about in the beginning of the class too, is my mom would burn eucalyptus in a humidifier. This is before essential oil diffusers, all that stuff. I'm 52, so this is when I was a kid. All right, she would burn it in, or I mean, put it eucalyptus oil in her humidifier. I mean, we lived in Vegas, so 24 hours a day. It's always
Wow.
it's really dry there, so she would always just constantly. My house smelled like eucalyptus oil. Whenever I was sick, she would stuff it under my nose because it worked like Vicks. She would put Vicks on my chest too, but she would always. So I just totally associate eucalyptus oil, and I kind of, like you were saying at the beginning, I kind of can't stand eucalyptus oil.
Yep.
I mean, kind of sort of. I mean, like, yeah, I don't really like it, but um, it totally just reminds me of my mom and just when I was young and just humidifiers and being sick and just my mom caring about me and just yeah, so it totally reminds me of her.
Oh,
Uh,
I love that.
not just oh, just it's so funny that you brought eucalyptus oil up. I'm just like oh my mom, and my
Oh,
mom passed years ago, so yeah, it's kind of awesome for
that
me.
that's
Thank
beautiful.
thank you. And then what's really I know this is gonna be so just like generic and stuff, but
No.
um I have, so I'm not like a huge, I don't know about believer the right word for where I was not for essential oils as far as just smells working because yeah, it seemed like they never worked for me, but I have been trying lavender for years now because I sleep horribly. So I run lavender diffuser at my work because I have to sleep there. I have lavender candles and stuff that I use at home, and I've just been like, "Well, it doesn't fucking work, but I use it all the time." So my idea now use
Yes.
those Asian stuff. I'm gonna use it like it's supposed to be. I'm gonna wait till I'm really, really tired, and I'm gonna put some lavender on, and then yeah, I'm gonna do that for 5 months until it finally works.
Yes. Awesome. Oh, I'm so happy because, yeah, exactly. And that actually tends to be the issue, too, is that if you are using lavender oil whenever you have insomnia, so whenever you're not tired, you
Yeah.
are conditioning your brain to smell lavender and think about not being tired.
Oh my god, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, exactly. I lay there tossing, turning, and smelling fucking lavender.
Yeah,
No wonder.
exactly. Yay. Oh, I'm so happy. Let me know. Tell me how it works. Yes.
I absolutely will. Yes.
Yay. Awesome. Thank you so much, Kim.
Thank you so much.
Of course. And then everybody else, please take your time. Just let me know when you're ready and you can share yours.
Let's say I'm good to go if you're ready.
Please share.
Um, sorry, one second.
No problem.
Okay, sorry. Lance is making dinner and he had a question. Um,
Okay.
so okay, so with the first one, there is this flower, and I have no idea which one it is, but it's very specific and it's in Arizona. And I would go with my grandparents every spring break, every single year, to see my great grandparents in Arizona. And this smell was always super duper strong right about 8, 9 p.m. when we would be like sitting out on the patio or taking like an 8 p.m. walk because it cools down just enough and it's gorgeous. And just the smell just permeates everything in the area. And what's funny for me is initially I didn't like it. I thought it was really kind of meh. Hey, stop. And then I've kind of started to grow to like it as I've gotten older and we've been visiting more because my grandparents moved there. And I have never, ever, ever smelled it in Colorado. It's very much specifically related to Arizona. And as you know, Alex, my grandma passed in December. And a couple of months ago, all right, you need to stop, please. um, And a couple of months ago, I was walking to my apartment from the parking lot, and I just got surrounded by that smell just out of nowhere.
Aw.
And it instantly just transported me back. All of it, the walks, the sitting on the patio, the everything. And I literally stood there, just transported back, thinking I was in Arizona. And then to the point where I'm like, where is it coming from? I need to find it. And I never found it, but it was just this, it was so there. But yeah, I need to figure out which flower it is so that I can bottle it.
Amazing. Aw.
Yeah. When you were talking about distilling a specific flower, I was like, oh,
Yes.
I'm like, I need to go and find them.
Oh, that is amazing. Oh,
Yeah.
how beautiful. Yay.
So, and then with the essential oil, I've actually already been, since the last class I've been working with, because same thing, I would use the lavender, and it's like, well, spray this on your pillow because it's supposed to help you sleep. And I'm like, this is crap, it's not working. Just like,
Yep.
and so I've started using it more specifically when I am relaxed. I use it when I am, tired, using it. So I'm already trying to work on that, and then helping when I'm calm and happy. I try to use it too, so that way when I'm like anxious or upset, I can hopefully start using it to help calm me that way too. So
Oh, that's amazing. Oh, I'm so glad. That's good. And lavender is a great one to pick, especially if you have no hatred towards lavender. It is a great one to pick for that purpose. So that's awesome.
Yeah, it smells amazing.
It does. I love that. Yay, thank you so much, Katrina. Awesome. I can't wait to hear how that works. I really hope that works well. And we're all conditioning our brains. It's so much fun.
Okay, I'll go. Honeysuckle. When I smell honeysuckle, it makes me think of when we lived in Virginia. We had this big, huge house, and there was just honeysuckle everywhere. And anytime I smell honeysuckle, it just takes me back to that time. It's pretty cool. I've been an essential oil junkie for probably 15 years now. But I loved when you were talking about using it on children. I do put it on Josephine. Well, I should have continued. Every night before bed, I would put a little bit on the bottoms of her feet with coconut oil, of course. But I kind of stopped doing that. I don't know why I stopped, but our bedtimes are awful. They're really bad. I mean, she's not bad or anything. She just, when she's tired, she fights sleep.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering how I would go about using it for her to because would I want to put it on her while she's hyper? Because wouldn't that make her stay hyper?
Exactly.
I would want to catch her drowsy. I would want to catch her drowsy, right?
Exactly. So whenever she's really drowsy, even since I know how old your little girl is, so especially when they're really young like that, even doing it when they're sleeping, because infants even toddlers tend to smell their senses a lot when they're sleeping. They still have a lot of sensory motor when they're sleeping. So when they're really drowsy, or even while she's sleeping, use it. And then 5 months from now, whenever you rub it on there, suddenly she'll just start to fall asleep.
Oh, thank you for that idea. I never even thought about that.
Yes.
Yeah, they do all sorts of stuff in their sleep. I do that. That's awesome.
Yes.
Okay.
For adults,
yeah, that's our huge struggle right now. Is she just loves life so much she doesn't ever want to go to sleep. It's a bitch to be yes. I'm serious, 2-3 o'clock in the morning she's partying still. I'm like, oh my god, go to bed. Lavender while sleeping.
Yes. Oh, that's
okay.
awesome. Yay. And tell me how that works. I hope it works.
Yeah, I will. I will. And every day when I go to work, well, not every day because I only work a couple days a week. Before I work in a casino, and so I try to make sure I'm like vibing high before I go in there. I have to,
Yep.
or like I just get shitty tips. The assholes are attracted to me. So before I enter, I take out. I have a couple different blends, and I just breathe it, and I just get in the moment, and I vibe high. And then I put some on and I walk in, and I swear to you, every time I walk in, people just come up to me and they just start talking to me, and they love it. They love it.
Oh, I'm so glad. And that's probably, yeah. I mean, one of the reasons definitely is, like I was explaining before, is raising the vibrations of your aura,
Yes.
definitely. But also, after you've been doing that for so long, it is probably because you're walking into a casino somewhere so stimulated that you are training and conditioning your body to become stimulated when you smell those, which will also raise your vibrations and help with your behavior and to make yourself feel more extroverted and things like that.
Yes.
So that's awesome.
Yes. It works great. It works really, really good.
That's wonderful. Oh, I'm so glad. That is so cool. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Awesome. So awesome. I'm so glad. That is wonderful. And it's so wonderful to hear all of the examples too, because it's just with smell as the first question. So what do you associate? What is something that you really associate with smell? And it's just so obvious how much of an impact smell really has, because every single one of our stories, it was never something small. It is that this one teeny tiny smell of this one little thing releases hundreds of memories. It's not just, it reminds you of necessarily a single person. It reminds you of an entire moment, an entire city, an entire group of memories. And it just shows how strong the sense of smell, when it relates and associates to memory, really is, because every example that we had is huge. It is a huge, gigantic grouping of memories that we have attached to this one smell. And that is amazing. And that is such a good example of how strong and powerful scent can be. So, how are essential oils used in Wicca, witchcraft, and other pagan spiritualities? As we talked about already when doing basic spells, which I just taught you a really cool spell, it's, the conditioning spell. But divination work. So when you are giving a tarot card reading, something that I will suggest once people become what I would call masters of tarot card reading, but that you have really become secure in your craft. Every single time you give a reading, using the exact same scent for two reasons. Number one, if you have returning customers, returning friends, returning people who get a reading from you, suddenly they will start to associate you and your tarot card readings with this smell. So when they leave and they go off into the world and they smell this smell without even realizing it, like, you don't let them know necessarily that you're doing it, but they're going to remember you. They're going to remember your readings. And number one, they're probably going to want another reading. Number two, they're also going to remember what you said a lot better because of the smell association. When you bring an association of smell into your public divination that you do, all of a sudden, all of your clients or all of the friends that you have that get readings from you are going to remember those readings a lot better, because when they go off and they smell that smell in the real world, suddenly they're going to remember the reading that you gave them a lot easier, because we're associating it with smell, not just with sight and with hearing. You are adding another sense that they are associating it with, which is then going to help with memory. That being said, you can use that in other ways as well. Every single time you go to your class at school, or if you have a job where there's lots of things that you have to memorize, take one smell and have that smell every single time you go to history class. Then when you take the history exam, wear that smell. You are going to remember all of the facts so much better because you are associating them with a smell in your brain. So it's a great way to help memory as well, and help other people's memory.
If there's anybody who does like positive affirmations, it's good to use them when you're saying positive affirmations too. It really helps like reprogram the brain. I've got a whole book on it. It's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
It tells you like what essential oil to use, the positive affirmation to heal the dis-ease that you may be experiencing. It's really, really cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, definitely. So,
Yeah.
Every single time that you say your positive, especially if positive affirmations really affect you, if saying those mantras over and over again, if it really does make you feel empowered, because some people don't like affirmations. I love affirmations. I think it's a great thing to do. And so if that is something that you really enjoy, then that's a great way, like I was talking about before, where put citrus oil on every single time you feel awesome. That would be a time in which you feel awesome, is when you are saying your affirmations. Therefore, even without the affirmation being said, you can put citrus oil on and you will feel those same euphoric feelings that you get from saying that affirmation. Plus, your brain will remember it better and remember the feeling that you got, feeling empowered.
I used to think positive affirmations were stupid until I learned the science behind it. And then I was just blown away. So the essential oils actually help build the neurons stronger, that the neural pathways. It's pretty cool. Yeah, the science of the brain is amazing. But
it is. I agree.
Use positive affirmations a lot. Like when I was in treatment and recovery, I had to say them daily, and I was like just so broken. So positive affirmations saved me for damn sure. And then now I'm a house manager at a sober living home, and I make the girls say them every day.
Good.
So
Yes.
that's what I do with the smells. Now I can start talking to them about, hey, associate a smell with it too. That's cool.
Yes. Oh, that'd be such a great way to use it too. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
And yeah, especially too, that's another thing that we don't realize too when it comes to drugs. As a smoker, I know that's not like, a drug, but it is extremely addictive. And as somebody who used to smoke cigarettes and has since quit smoking cigarettes, that smell that everybody hates, God, I fucking love it.
Still love it. I quit cigarettes.
Oh.
Yesterday.
Yes. And it's because you associate it with the awesome feeling that you get from smoking the cigarette.
Yep.
And that same thing with drugs as well. So trying to retrain your brain to enjoy and associate good memories with different smells is a great idea. That's awesome. Yes, with potions, meditations, like I explained before, using them for meditation to help you get into that meditative state. Chakra cleansing, as I explained as well, and other spiritual work. Different smells and sensations come from essential oils and aid in the potency and accuracy of your craft. They are also used for their healing properties in herbal remedies. So in some potions that you make, it is just going to call for essential oils, and usually that's just to make the potion smell a certain way, which once again usually has a lot to do with conditioning the brain to smell a certain smell. And one thing that I like to make sure that people remember, especially if it's spiritual work, like I explained with the yarrow, there are reasons we use yarrow. You cannot substitute yarrow for rose because rose is not a blood coagulant, so it's not going to work. But if it's purely spiritual, if it has nothing to do with, the blood coagulation, the antiseptic properties, the antibiotic properties, if it has nothing to do with that, it's solely about your spiritual mind, your third eye, your aura, your chakras, things like that. Stuff like that could be switched out. Let's say there's a spell or a potion that requires eucalyptus, and for you to smell eucalyptus all day, but you fucking hate eucalyptus. Switch it out. There's no reason necessarily for eucalyptus if you hate it. If you hate it, it is going to have an adverse effect. It is not going to work in the same way. So when things are purely spiritual, when they are only being used for the growth of your aura and your chakras and your third eye and opening your third eye and crown chakras and things like that, you can switch out these scents for get to know your client, get to know the person you're making a potion for. Or if it's yourself and you read this spell and you really want to do this spell and it calls for an essential oil that you hate the smell of, switch it for something that you love the smell of. That is perfectly fine. Unless, like I said, it is for medicinal qualities and you need that specific herb because of its medicinal qualities, then that's different. But for spiritual use, it is better to love the smell instead of hate it. I guess depending on the spell you're doing, there's probably a spell out there that like wants you to feel hatred, but you know, usually we don't want to feel hatred. Essential oils are aromatic, volatile liquids obtained from plant material through steam distillation and named after the plant from which they are derived. Essential oils can be defined as either products or mixtures of fragrant substances or as mixtures of fragrant and odorless substances. These fragrant substances are chemically pure compounds that are volatile under normal conditions. Essential oils vary greatly, sometimes due to genetic causes, but also because of climate, rainfall, or geographic origin. They are composed principally of lipophilic and highly volatile secondary plant metabolites, and principally mono and sesquiterpen. Wow. Okay, obviously I didn't write this. The source information is at the bottom of where I got this information, but this information is extremely Google the definitions of these. I just still can't pronounce them, but Google the definitions of these words. It is important to know the chemistry of what you are putting in and around your body. I always say that to anybody who is going to be using any chemical, and these are chemical compounds that you are using, and anything that you are going to be putting in or around or on your body, you should know what it is. And that includes all the things. It is all the things. You should know what's going into your body. That doesn't mean that if you don't know, that you should deny it. It means you should go do research and look it up and find out what is going in your body. And it is important to know. And if you don't understand, ask somebody who does understand. YouTube is awesome now. You can find any video describing absolutely anything. Go to YouTube, find a reputable, real source of information. This girl right here lists all of her credentials, all of the places she got her information. Look for people like that and figure out what you're putting inside your body because it's really important. Other substances that have been identified in volatile oils include camarines, anthraquinones, and alkaloids, which are often distillable with some deterpenous fat and other non-volatile compounds that can be obtained from essential oils by methods of other than distillation. So basically, essential oils are usually distilled oil. This is usually what they are. They are a distilled compound. They are an extract of a plant, which is usually extracting the oils from that plant and then distilling them to make them more potent, basically. And you need lots and lots and lots of the plant to be able to do this. And so that is why when you add 1 drop of lavender to your entire coconut oil thing, your entire coconut oil container is going to is going to smell super lavendery. And that is because it is an plant oil that has been distilled. And that is what an extract is. And now, as she explained in this paragraph, number 1, the oils can vary greatly. So you want to know which oils you're getting. It's very important to know the ingredients, where they came from, and what kind of like geographic origin that they have. They are usually distilled in a very, very specific way. And so you want to make sure that when you get an essential oil, it is listed that it is a distilled extract. That is very important. You want to make sure that you look for that. And people have used essential oils in millions of different ways all over the world. They are most widely used in cosmetics and perfumes. And they also have medicinal applications due to their therapeutic properties. So basically, if the plant, like I explained with eucalyptus is a great example. Eucalyptus in itself has been used in many medications, such as Vicks, such as vapor rubs, such as muscle rubs and bath things so that your muscles feel better. That is one that is going to both have a like actual medicinal qualities. So every single person on average is going to react the exact same way to the medicinal qualities of eucalyptus. On average, when somebody puts eucalyptus on their sore muscles, it makes it feel better, on average. Now, not all essential oils are like that, such as sleeping and lavender. It's a great example. Lavender does not help you sleep. It just doesn't. There's nothing to back that up. Never, even in spiritual communities. It is the conditioning of your brain to smell lavender and feel calm that is what helps you sleep. So you want to also look out for that. What essential oils are you using where you are actually using the herb for its medicinal qualities, such as eucalyptus? And what essential oils are just meant for smell and to smell good, and you can condition your brain to decide which ones will help you sleep and which ones will help you calm down, which ones will help make you happy, things like that. You get to decide. So make sure that you do your research on those as well. Which ones are you buying to help condition your brain, and which ones are you buying because they genuinely have actual medicinal qualities due to the plant being used and the extract being used. So, time is it? Okay. So if we go back, so we are going to end on things you can make. So there is actually, this is a great recipe. Corey was talking about this last class, and she has, if you really want to get into like hardcore soap making, talk to Corey. She's incredible. She makes me soap. They're just amazing. They're like the best soap I've ever had, and I love them. But these are some very, very basic recipes that you can use if you would like to add essential oils into your life and you're not quite sure how, and you don't necessarily just want to put them on your skin. So you have skin cream, which is here, and it's a very, very simple skin cream. You are just taking things and melting them in a glass bowl. You are putting it over a pot on the stove, boiling water in the pot at the bottom, and then putting a glass bowl on top so that everything can melt. However you want to melt things in the glass bowl is fine, but using it as a double boiler like that kind of works best. But it is just carrier oil, filtered water, beeswax, and borax. That's it. That's all. And those are all things that are super, super cheap that you can buy at the grocery store. And if you want to leave the borax out, that's fine completely. The borax, the only thing it does is kind of help it become very congealed beeswax. So if you don't use the borax, you are going to get something that's more like a salve, something that's more like a chapstick if you don't use the borax. If you use the borax, you're going to get something more that's like a cream that you would use as a lotion. So you can use this recipe right here, the skin cream, and if you skip the borax, you're going to get chapstick, or like chapstick-like textures for dry skin. If you use the borax, you're going to get something that's a lot more like cream or lotion. And then this is a great idea for soap. It is just carrier oil, water, and pure unscented vegetable soap flakes, which once again, you can find. You just probably haven't looked. But at absolutely number one, any craft store on earth, Michael's, Joann's, any craft store you've ever been to in your life will have this. Also, they typically carry it at places like Target and Walmart and King Soopers if you're in Colorado. I know those don't exist elsewhere. I said that once and somebody's like, what's King Soopers? Oh yeah. Anyway, so you can find it at Safeway, at Walmart, at Target, and definitely 100% of the time it'll be like at Michael's and Joann's and craft stores like that. I buy this all the time. It's also a really fun craft to do with kids because they can just make the soap however they want it to look. You can throw in like edible glitter. You can throw in different colors like food color. I wouldn't do food coloring. Soap coloring. They have soap coloring in craft stores as well. Food coloring will dye your skin. So you want to do soap coloring, but you can make it any color you want. You can make it glittery and sparkly. You can put in little charms. So like put inside, you can just buy like sequence charms or like those little plastic charms, put them into the soap. And now you have like sparkly blue mermaid soap that also smells like lavender or whatever smell you would like it to smell like. Same thing with the creams. You can do fun stuff. Get soap coloring because soap coloring won't dye your skin, and dye it a fun color. Put in edible glitter so that it kind of it biodegrades. And you can make really cool fun lotions and cool fun soaps. There's also essential oil spray, which the recipe is right here, which is just water and essential oil. You can use moon water, you can use sun water, and that's it. You put it in a spray bottle, spray it around. That's it. That's all. That's actually what we're using for the ritual for the witch's ball. I don't get complicated. You just take 2 drops of essential oil, put it in a bottle with water, shake it, and spray it around the room to cleanse your space. Beautiful. Essential oil sugar body scrubs. I use these all the time. It is just sugar and coconut oil. That's it. You just take some sugar, you dump it into some coconut oil, you stir it until it has a body scrub texture, and then you add a drop of lavender. And you're good now. You have essential oils inside of your exfoliating scrubs. Then, of course, we have the lip balm, which is just the same recipe except for minus the borax. You can also add shea butter if you want to make it like a very melty chapstick. You know, you put the chapstick on and it like melts to your lips. You can do that as well. And all of these drops of essential oils that I put in is based on the amount. So if you are making a whole bunch, I suggest like 20 drops. If you're making just a little spray bottle, I suggest like 1 drop or 2 drops. But this page is great. I wrote all this out. I use all these recipes all the time, so I know they work really well. And they're great and really fun to do with kids or to do with, like, if you work with people. My mom works with people who have developmental disabilities, and she uses all these recipes all the time. They love making their own, like, soaps and their own lotions. And this is also a great way if you're trying to get away from buying everything from corporate places and gigantic businesses, and you're trying to step away from buying everything from those places. This is a great start to what you can make on your own, like soaps and lotions and lip or chapstick. You could even turn that into lipstick. Just add tinting. So you can just buy like tinted color. I've even added, like, you can just add eyeshadow. Just add eyeshadow and it turns red, and you can, like, you know, put the chapstick on your lips and it's red now. You can even add a little bit of your favorite lipstick, and now you have a big gigantic container of your favorite lipstick. So these are great little recipes to start with. And does anybody have any questions?
Thank you for this class.
Of course.
It's good to be here.
I'm so glad you guys could make it. I'm going to stop now.
I'm gonna go tuck Josephine in.